Hi everyone, I'm the Limitless Librarian, and boy do I have a doozy for you today. This is my review of Trans Wizard Harriet Porber and the Bad Boy Parasaurolophus by Chuck Tingle. Oh boy. You're looking at this book and wondering, what the heck is that? What is that piece of absolute tripe you are holding? Why would any self-respecting intellectual invest anything in the way of money and or time in picking up this thing? Well, for the uninitiated, this book is supposed to be a satire or parody of Harry Potter. As you may have noticed in the title, this is not just Harriet Porber, it's Trans Wizard Harriet Porber. That reason being, Chuck Tingle is essentially throwing shade on JK Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, for her transphobic, remarks and actions. I'm not going to go into that in this video. That's not what it's about. There is no shortage of videos and articles out there just going through all of the evidence behind JK Rowling's behaviour. What you need to know is that on this channel, we absolutely do not stand for it. She is a transphobic person and we are not giving her a platform here. As for who Chuck Tingle is, he's a pretty notorious author on BookTube. He normally writes very bizarre erotica, mainly like stuff like sexy dinosaurs and sentient objects. Like what you would see on this cover, and yeah, all of his book covers are in the same sort of vein. This is the first Chuck Tingle that I've ever read, because his stuff is definitely not my cup of tea. But I wanted to read it because I heard about this on BookTube, on YouTube, and I heard people say that it's actually good, and so I wanted to see, is it good? What is it all about? How much shade is Chuck Tingle throwing on JK Rowling? So, where do we start with explaining what this book is about? Well, our protagonist, Harriet Porber, that's her in the middle, is a transgender wizard, and her job is to create new spells. And at the start of the book, she's kind of struggling. She made one amazing spell a while ago, but she just has lost the muse since, and she is struggling. And so her agent sends her away to this distant island near England to find some inspiration, and that is where she meets this guy. His name is Snape, and he is, well, a sexy dinosaur who is a bard, and he makes magical songs that are also like spells. But Snape is also accompanied by two sentient living motorbikes named Bellatrix and Braco, of course, who are just the worst people ever. And they have the hots for Snape, and they see Harriet as a threat, because you can probably guess where this story is going. And so the story follows Harriet and Snape on this island as they interact with each other, bump into each other, get into some drama, especially with the sentient motorbikes. As for who this mammoth guy is, his name is Bumbleborn. He shows up late in the book. He's not as important, he just shows up later in the book, but I figure might as well just explain who everybody is in the cover. So aside from the characters parodying Harry Potter characters, and this whole book existing just to throw shade on JK Rowling and Harry Potter, the story doesn't really resemble that of Harry Potter very much. Like the names of characters and things in the world are kind of mainly it as far as taking inspiration from it goes. Although this book is very meta, it breaks the fourth wall all the time. In fact, there's a type of magic in this book called meta magic, which Snape essentially specialises in. So the characters are all very self-aware. They're aware that they're in a romance parody novel, They're aware of the tropes that they exist to embody the roles that they're meant to fill. Like, for example, Snape's bad boy behaviour is generally toxic and not great in a relationship, and Snape is very aware of that. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry, Harriet, this is just my role in the story. We haven't yet reached the point where I'm supposed to realise how much of a toxic butthead I'm being and change my ways. So yeah, this is a very meta book. As I said, it's not something you're supposed to take seriously. It's a parody, it's satire, it's fourth wall breaking, and the purpose is just, as a parody, not necessarily as a story on its own. Is it any good? Of course, is the question you're all wondering. Is it any good? Is it even readable? And actually, yeah. Aside from typos, it was definitely very readable. Like Chuck Tingle, in spite of the subject matter he writes about, is clearly, a professional author. He knows what he's doing. According to the bottom of the book, he's been nominated for a Hugo Award twice, although with the recent drama that's been going on with that lately, who knows how much of a credibility that gives you, but I digress. He knows what he's doing. This is a fun book. You're not supposed to take it seriously, and it's definitely better than what I expected it to be. And there are actually some surprisingly poignant sort of quotes and things in here, really. And yeah, it's aware of all the tropes and cliches that it's using, because that's kind of part of the point of this book. It's supposed to be a trashy parody that you're not supposed to take seriously. That's the whole point. So, yes, I think this is actually a pretty good book. This is what a parody should be, and it's definitely very readable. And there's actually a surprising amount packed into this book. It's 140 pages. There's actually a surprising amount packed in here. And yeah, I really quite enjoyed it. And there is a second book, and so I do want to read the second book. So let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to check that out. It is definitely an adult book. There are a couple of sex scenes in there. Again, hilariously terrible even as far as those go. But again, kind of the point. The theme of Harriet and Snape being trans isn't really expanded upon or explored much. It's just used as a commonality between them. But again, because of the nature of this book and what it's supposed to be, what its purpose is, it doesn't really matter that we don't have a lot of that kind of background about their experiences or exploring the discrimination that they say they face, for example. So yeah, it's not particularly deep. It's not particularly deep in terms of the characterization and background and lore, but that's actually okay. That's fine. That's kind of the point of this book, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't get deep. It does occasionally go quite deep. And because of the self-aware nature of the book, you can look past some of the toxic aspects of Snape in particular, because he's supposed to be a bad boy. That's his role, and he's aware of that, and that's kind of the point. He's supposed to be all of the tropes personified, essentially. So that was my review of Harriet Porber and the Bad Boy Parasaurolophus. So I would definitely recommend checking this out if you are against JK Rowling and what she stands for. Blech. And also just if you're just interested in having a fun time and reading something completely silly and nonsensical for a bit. Even with the sort of romance and sexy stuff sort of focus a little bit, it's not like it's the entire story. I mean, I was able to get through it despite the fact that that's not my jam. There were the drama aspects with Bellatrix and Draco, for example, or Harriet trying to make this new spell. And also just the shenanigans of all these non-human characters in this world. It was just a lot of fun and something a bit silly, but also still sort of meaningful in its own way. So if you like this video, please, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to see more book reviews. And as always, do lots of maths, read lots of books, and I'm sure you'll have a magical day.